Phoenix, Arizona, a man once celebrated for transforming his life and inspiring thousands, has now been found guilty of a crime so horrific it shattered his entire legacy. 53-year-old Anthony Milan Ross, a motivational speaker, author, and celebrity vegan chef, was convicted of killing his estranged wife and their 2 children on Christmas Day, 2017, a tragedy that left an entire community in disbelief, according to prosecutors. Iris Ross had filed for divorce 6 months before the murders, ending what she described as a toxic and controlling marriage. On that December afternoon, she went to pick up her children from Anthony's apartment in Phoenix. Moments later, witnesses heard gunshots, and the day that should have been filled with love and laughter turned into one of unimaginable horror. 8 years later, in 2025, a jury found Ross guilty on all 23 charges, including 3 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 17 counts of assault on police officers. His sentencing is scheduled for January 9, 2026. But beyond the headlines lies a deeper story, one of obsession, pride, and the slow unraveling of a man who couldn't accept losing control. Who was Anthony Milan Ross? To many, he was a success story. Once morbidly obese, Ross lost more than 300 pounds through a strict vegan lifestyle and began preaching a message of health and spiritual healing. He wrote books, appeared on television, and told his story to thousands online. He was charming, confident, and seemed like a man reborn. But behind the public image of peace and positivity, something dark was festering. Those close to the couple say the Ross marriage had been falling apart for years. Iris was warm, gentle, and deeply loved by her friends. But life with Anthony, they said, had become unpredictable. He could be kind one moment and cold, controlling, or angry the next. He needed to be admired. He needed to be in control. And when Iris finally filed for divorce, it wasn't just a breakup to him, it was humiliation. Did anyone see it coming? Maybe. Iris's friends said she feared for her safety. She told some of them she was walking on eggshells around him. But no one imagined what would come next. Anthony continued to post online talking about positivity and forgiveness. But between the lines, there were warning signs, comments about betrayal, false love, and being tested by the universe. It all sounded like motivational talk. Until it WASN single quotes T. Christmas Day, 2017. For most families, the day of love, peace, and togetherness. But that morning, Anthony was already living in a world of denial. At around 10 a.m., he recorded a video with his 11-year-old son, Nigel, in it. They sang "Santa Claus is Coming to Town." They smiled, laughed, and wished everyone a Merry Christmas. He posted it to social media, and people commented how sweet it was. A father and son sharing holiday joy. No one could have guessed that hours later, both of them would be gone. That afternoon, Iris arrived at his apartment to pick up the children. She had done this before. It was supposed to be simple, just a handoff. But this time, things were different. Neighbors later said they heard shouting. And then gunfire. Anthony shot Iris in the parking lot in broad daylight on Christmas Day. Panic erupted. People screamed. Someone called 911. Police rushed to the scene. But by the time they arrived, Anthony had barricaded himself inside the apartment with the 2 children. For hours, negotiators tried to talk him down. They pleaded with him to surrender peacefully, to let the children go. But he refused. Inside that small apartment, time stood still. No one knows exactly what happened in those hours, what words were spoken, what decisions were made. But when SWAT finally breached the door, the truth was unbearable. One child was already dead. Anthony opened fire at the officers, hitting one before being subdued. When police finally secured the scene, they found baby Anora, only 9 months old, lifeless. In one afternoon, 3 lives were taken, a mother and her 2 innocent children, all by the man who once claimed to love them most. So what drove Anthony Milan Ross to such violence? Prosecutors described him as narcissistic and controlling. He couldn't tolerate the idea of rejection or loss. When Iris left, he felt his world collapsing, his image, his ego, his power. And rather than face that pain, he decided to destroy everything that reminded him of it. Psychologists who reviewed the case said Ross showed traits of what's called malignant narcissism, a dangerous mix of grandiosity, lack of empathy, and aggression when threatened. For people like that, losing control can feel like losing life itself. And on Christmas Day, Anthony chose to make his pain the world's pain. The standoff was live-streamed by local media. Viewers watched police cars, negotiators shouting through megaphones, and neighbors crying behind barricades. The news spread fast. A Christmas massacre in Phoenix. People who once followed Anthony online couldn't believe it. They rewatched his videos, wondering how someone who spoke about peace could commit such horror. In the months after, more details emerged. Messages, emails, and posts showed a man spiraling, obsessed with his image. Desperate for control and angry that Iris had taken that away. He had planned to see her that day, knowing she'd come for the kids. It wasn't spontaneous. It was premeditated. When the trial finally began in September 2025, the courtroom was packed. Reporters, family members, and even former fans filled the seats. The prosecution presented a timeline of the day: the morning video, the shooting, the standoff, the children's deaths. They described it as a day when love died in the name of ego. The defense tried to argue insanity, claiming Ross was mentally unstable, overwhelmed, not fully aware of his actions. But the evidence told another story. It showed preparation, intent, and control. The jury deliberated for only a short time before finding him guilty on all counts. When the verdict was read, Ross stood still. He didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He just stared forward, emotionless, like a man disconnected from reality. Outside, Iris's family embraced each other. Her sister said through tears he took everything. But justice, at least, still exists. Now, as Anthony Milan Ross awaits sentencing, the question lingers. How does a man who once preached love and healing become a symbol of hate and destruction? Was it pride? Was it madness? Or was it simply who he always was, hidden behind a smile and a camera? Maybe the answer lies somewhere in the human heart, that fragile place where love and control sometimes look the same. Maybe when pride and pain collide, empathy disappears, and in that silence, monsters are born. Anthony Milan Ross once said in an interview before the murders, "Love is a choice. Every day we choose to love or to hate." On December 25, 2017, he made his choice, and it cost him and his family everything.